In the ever-evolving landscape of American politics, few figures have navigated the tumultuous waters of the Trump administration as adeptly as Marco Rubio. Once viewed as a rising star within the Republican Party, Rubio has recently solidified his role as a key player in President Trump's cabinet, holding the dual positions of Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. However, his ascent has not come without controversy, as his policies and actions have frequently intersected with Trump's controversial governance style and rhetoric. Since his appointment as Secretary of State at the beginning of Trump's second term, Rubio has proven to be a crucial ally for the president, adept at translating Trump's often polarizing goals into actionable policy. This close alignment has manifested in various ways, particularly in matters concerning national security and foreign diplomacy. Recently, reports have emerged detailing Rubio's plans to overhaul the National Security Council (NSC), a move that signifies a shift toward a more streamlined and directive approach to foreign policy. Sources speaking to NBC News have indicated that Rubio intends to reduce the NSC staff significantly from its current size of approximately 150 to an expected 50 to 60 personnel. This restructuring aims to align the NSC's operations more closely with Trump's top-down decision-making style, where the president directly instructs the National Security Advisor, who then leads the staff in executing those directives. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt praised Rubio's leadership, stating, "Under his leadership at the White House, the NSC team will be streamlined to ensure maximum efficiency and coordination with outside agencies." Further complicating this dynamic is Rubio's staunch support for Israel, a position that has deep roots in his upbringing as a Cuban American and his ties to the influential Cuban American National Foundation, which has historically aligned with pro-Israel lobbying efforts. Rubio's voting record reflects this unwavering commitment, having opposed the Iran nuclear deal, supported the relocation of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, and advocated for measures against the boycott, divestment, sanctions (BDS) movement. Critics argue that Rubio's policies often prioritize political loyalty over humanitarian principles, particularly regarding issues in Palestine, where he has called for the eradication of Hamas and suggested controversial plans for Gaza's reconstruction. Domestically, Rubio's tenure has not been without its share of controversies. His actions regarding immigration policies, particularly the detention and deportation of individuals based on social media activity, have attracted significant scrutiny. He has been instrumental in negotiating agreements with foreign governments, such as sending Venezuelan migrants to El Salvador's prisons, raising concerns over due process and humanitarian rights. Critics, including legal experts, have expressed alarm over the implications of such policies, suggesting that they reflect a broader trend of unchecked executive power that threatens judicial independence. Despite the controversies, some Republican leaders view Rubio as a success within the administration. Evan Power, chair of the state's Republican Party, lauded Rubio's efforts in forging peace deals, stating Florida leads the way. However, former political allies have voiced disappointment, suggesting that Rubio, once seen as principled and capable, has succumbed to the gravitational pull of Trump's often erratic governance style. As Rubio continues to navigate this complex political landscape, questions linger about his future ambitions and the long-term implications of his policies. Observers speculate that his steadfast loyalty to Trump may be part of a broader strategy to position himself for a potential presidential run. However, whether this allegiance will pay off in the long run remains to be seen, particularly as the political climate continues to shift and evolve. In conclusion, Marco Rubio's dual role in the Trump administration exemplifies the complexities of modern-day politics, where loyalty often supersedes principle and the lines between governance and partisanship blur. As he implements changes to the NSC and pursues controversial policies, the ramifications of his actions will resonate beyond the current administration, shaping the future of American foreign policy and domestic governance. With the 2024 presidential election on the horizon, all eyes will be on Rubio to see how his career unfolds in the ever-changing political arena. In an unprecedented turn of events at the Pentagon, John Ullyot, the chief spokesperson, has resigned and subsequently issued a stark warning regarding the future of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Ullyot's departure has not only raised eyebrows but has also shed light on what he describes as a chaotic atmosphere within the Defense Department, suggesting that Hegseth may soon be following him out the door. In an opinion piece published in Politico, Ullyot characterized the current state of affairs at the Pentagon as total chaos, citing incidents ranging from the leaking of sensitive operational plans to mass firings. He stated, "The dysfunction is now a major distraction for the president, who deserves better from his senior leadership." This sentiment underscores a growing concern about the effectiveness of Hegseth's leadership amidst ongoing controversies. Hegseth has faced mounting scrutiny over allegations that he mishandled sensitive information, particularly through the Signal messaging app. Reports surfaced recently revealing that National Security Advisor Michael Waltz inadvertently included a journalist in a Signal group chat with Hegseth and other senior officials where discussions about military operations, including strikes in Yemen, were shared. Compounding the issue, the New York Times reported that Hegseth maintained a separate Signal chat for personal communications, divulging sensitive information to family members and even allowing his wife to participate in high-level meetings with foreign officials. These revelations have not only raised questions about Hegseth's judgment but have also sparked a wave of concern regarding the integrity of communications within the Pentagon. Ullyot pointed to the recent ousting of 3 senior leaders amid an investigation into these leaks, characterizing it as a strange and baffling purge that has left the Pentagon in disarray. He described the past month as the month from hell, indicating that the turmoil may extend beyond personnel changes to the very stability of the Defense Department. Ullyot, who has previously been a supporter of Hegseth, expressed doubts about the secretary's longevity in his role, stating, "Given Trump's strong record of holding his top officials to account, it's hard to see Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth remaining in his role for much longer." He hinted at the possibility of more explosive revelations to come, noting, "There are very likely more shoes to drop in short order, with even bigger bombshell stories coming this week," key Pentagon reporters have been telling sources privately. As the situation continues to unfold, the implications for both Hegseth and the broader leadership at the Pentagon are significant. The potential for further disclosures could exacerbate the turmoil, leading to a leadership vacuum at a crucial moment for national security. Observers are keenly watching how these developments will impact the Pentagon's operations and ultimately President Trump's administration as it grapples with the fallout from this unfolding crisis. The coming weeks will be critical in determining whether the Pentagon can stabilize or if it will continue to spiral into further chaos. In a contentious display of political navigation, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. addressed Congress on May 14, 2025, defending the Trump administration's substantial budget cuts to key health programs amid fierce criticism from lawmakers. The hearings, his first since taking office 4 months prior, were characterized by heated exchanges, particularly with House Appropriations Committee Ranking Member Rosa DeLauro, who accused Kennedy of jeopardizing vital health services and undermining scientific integrity. Kennedy's testimony unfolded in 2 sessions, an early morning appearance before the House Appropriations Committee and an afternoon session with the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. His defense centered on President Trump's proposed fiscal year 2026 budget, which aims to slash non-defense spending by 23% and reduce funding for the Department of Health and Human Services (HHS) by approximately 26%, amounting to a budget of $94 billion. While Kennedy insisted that these cuts would not hamper critical services, he faced pointed inquiries regarding the implications of such reductions, particularly in the wake of an ongoing measles outbreak that has now surpassed 1,000 cases in 30 states. The Appropriations Committee hearing began with DeLauro expressing her frustration over the cuts, asserting, "You have an obligation to carry out the law and implement what Congress has done," her voice laced with disbelief as she deemed the situation unbelievable. This sentiment echoed the growing concern among health advocates and organizations, including the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association, who have warned that the proposed cuts could severely impact biomedical research and patient care. Kennedy's defense was further complicated by a federal court order that temporarily halts sweeping staff reductions at the CDC and NIH, a move initiated under his direction. In responding to DeLauro's inquiries about the elimination of the CDC's Office on Smoking and Health, Kennedy cited legal advice barring comments on the reorganization, stating, "We are under a court order not to do any further planning on the reorganization." This response only fueled further skepticism about the administration's commitment to public health priorities. In addition to grappling with budgetary concerns, Kennedy's testimony touched on the administration's controversial stance on vaccinations, an issue he has historically been hesitant to address directly. Although he has recognized the effectiveness of vaccines in controlling outbreaks, he maintained that vaccination should ultimately be left to parental discretion. This nuanced position has drawn fire from both sides of the aisle, particularly given the current measles crisis that has led to 3 deaths, including 2 unvaccinated children. In the face of these challenges, Kennedy has also championed initiatives aimed at tackling chronic diseases through nutrition and lifestyle changes, a strategy aligned with Trump's Make America Great Again initiative. This ambitious program has garnered a $500 million infusion but remains overshadowed by the contentious budget cuts. Polls indicate that public confidence in the Trump administration's handling of health crises is waning. A recent Reuters Ipsos poll revealed that only 31% of respondents believed the administration was managing the measles outbreak responsibly, while 40% disagreed. The growing discontent reflects broader anxieties about the administration's approach to public health, particularly amidst allegations of a war on science by critics like Senator Bernie Sanders. As the hearings concluded, Kennedy's vision for HHS, a radical overhaul aimed at streamlining what he described as an alphabet soup of agencies, remains contentious. His sweeping staff reductions and budget cuts have ignited fears among health advocates regarding the future of critical health programs. The path forward for Kennedy and the Trump administration appears fraught with challenges as they navigate the delicate balance between fiscal austerity and the preservation of public health. As the political landscape evolves, the implications of these hearings will likely resonate beyond Capitol Hill, shaping the future of health policy and funding in the United States. The coming weeks will be crucial as Congress deliberates over the proposed budget and its potential ramifications on the nation's health infrastructure. In the tumultuous landscape of American political governance, few figures have garnered as much attention or controversy as Attorney General Pam Bondi. Since stepping into her role in early February 2025, Bondi has adopted a strikingly performative approach that aligns closely with the directives of President Donald Trump and his administration. This shift marks a significant departure from the traditional independence once upheld by the Justice Department, as Bondi navigates the complex dynamics of a cabinet where loyalty to Trump appears paramount. Bondi's tenure began with a provocative gesture, distributing binders labeled Epstein Files, Phase 1, to a group of Trump-allied influencers in the White House. Although she hyped the event as a major unveiling, the subsequent revelations fell flat, leading to backlash from conservative activists who felt let down by the lack of substance. This misstep highlights the pressure Bondi faces to fulfill the expectations of an administration that rewards performance over substance. As one invited influencer noted, the much-anticipated disclosure resulted in no bombshells, prompting Bondi to deflect blame and escalate efforts to dig deeper into the archives, albeit with little success. Bondi's history as a tough prosecutor in Florida, where she took a hard stance against opioids and crime, contrasts sharply with her current role, which many describe as that of a figurehead. Current and former officials, including Elizabeth Oyer, a former top pardon lawyer, have criticized Bondi's apparent lack of autonomy, with Oyer remarking the decisions are being made at the White House and then they're being pushed down to the Department of Justice, which is very atypical. This observation underscores a broader trend within the Trump administration, where cabinet members often appear to act more as surrogates than independent leaders. Under Bondi's leadership, the Justice Department's agenda has increasingly aligned with Trump's political goals. She has endorsed significant initiatives including the acceptance of a luxury Boeing 747-8 donated by Qatar, which has raised ethical questions given her previous lobbying work for the country. Critics have noted that the gift could violate the emoluments clause of the Constitution, while Bondi defended it as legally permissible, further entrenching her role as a loyal executor of Trump's directives. This loyalty is evident in Bondi's frequent appearances on Fox News, where her performances have become a staple of her public persona. With over 36 appearances to date, she has cultivated a reputation for fierce rhetoric against perceived enemies of the administration. Critics from both the left and right have lambasted her for not taking a harder stance against Trump's opponents, with far-right influencer Laura Loomer branding her a liar for perceived failures in delivering on promises related to the Epstein investigation. While Bondi has claimed to return the department to its law and order roots, her actions suggest a deeper alignment with Trump's agenda. Reports indicate that she has not only cooperated with controversial policies such as pursuing legal actions against those performing gender surgeries, but has also sought to reshape the department's focus away from traditional civil rights issues. Instead, the emphasis has shifted towards a culture war agenda that resonates with Trump's base. As Bondi navigates the complex landscape of the Trump administration, her ability to maintain favor with the president while managing the intricate dynamics of the Justice Department will undoubtedly shape the future of her tenure. With the department's independence increasingly under siege and the political landscape growing more polarized, Bondi's role as Attorney General underscores a critical pivot in U.S. governance, a pivot that may have lasting implications as the 2024 election approaches and the political landscape continues to evolve. In conclusion, as the political climate intensifies, Bondi's actions and decisions will be scrutinized more than ever. Her trajectory within the Trump cabinet, marked by both loyalty and controversy, hints at a broader trend in U.S. governance where individual autonomy is frequently sacrificed for political alignment. As the Justice Department continues to adapt under her leadership, the implications for legal integrity and institutional independence remain uncertain, leaving observers to ponder the future of American democracy in the face of such profound political upheaval. In the realm of international trade, the recent tariff adjustments between the United States and China represent a significant pivot in the ongoing economic tug-of-war between the two largest economies. President Donald Trump's administration has announced a temporary reduction in tariffs on Chinese goods, slashing rates from an alarming 120% down to 30%. While this move has incited a wave of optimism in financial markets, small businesses across the U.S. remain apprehensive, struggling to navigate the complex landscape of elevated tariffs that continue to impact their bottom lines. Despite the reduced tariff rates, many small business owners find themselves caught in a precarious situation. Heidi Krieber-Rediker, a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, articulated the sentiment succinctly: small businesses that import from China will still take a beating. This is still a huge nightmare to navigate. This perspective underscores the broader concern that while the new tariff structure may appear favorable, it does little to alleviate the operational challenges that small businesses face, particularly given the historical heights of these tariffs. The recent executive order issued by the White House also included a reduction of the de minimis tariff on shipments from China to 54%, with a flat fee of $100 remaining in place. This adjustment aims to facilitate trade but still leaves many businesses in a bind, as existing orders can be fulfilled within a 90-day window, yet the timeframe offers limited relief for those seeking to place new orders. In a broader context, the tariff pause reflects a thawing in U.S.-China trade relations, a sentiment echoed by U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. He noted the consensus from both delegations is neither side wants a decoupling. What had occurred with these very high tariffs was the equivalent of an embargo, and neither side wants that. His comments suggest a mutual recognition of the necessity for continued trade as both nations grapple with the economic ramifications of prolonged tariffs. In parallel to the tariff developments, notable shifts are occurring in various industries. For instance, the aviation sector saw a boost as China lifted its ban on Boeing deliveries, a long-awaited move that signals a potential rebound for the American aerospace giant. Meanwhile, companies like Foxconn, a major electronics manufacturer, have had to downgrade their forecasts due to ongoing tariff uncertainties, further illustrating the ripple effects of U.S. trade policies. Yet amidst the challenges, there are signs of optimism. Analysts have identified Nvidia as a potential beneficiary in this climate of eased trade tensions, suggesting that the tech giant may emerge stronger as it navigates the changing landscape. Conversely, companies like Sony are reeling from the impact of tariffs, anticipating a significant financial hit that could wipe out profit expectations. The recent trade agreement between the US and the UK also illustrates a broader strategy by the Trump administration to engage more actively in international trade discussions. With the EU signaling its intentions to impose tariffs if negotiations falter, the stakes remain high, not just for the US and China but for global trade dynamics as a whole. As the situation continues to evolve, the implications of these tariff changes will likely shape business strategies and consumer prices in the months ahead. The delicate balance of fostering trade while managing domestic economic pressures will be a key focus for policymakers and business leaders alike. With ongoing negotiations and a tentative truce in place, the path forward remains uncertain, yet the importance of sustained dialogue between the U.S. and its trading partners has never been more apparent. As stakeholders brace for potential outcomes, the global economy watches closely, anticipating how these developments will unfold. In a significant push for high-speed internet access in rural areas, Governor Tony Evers of Wisconsin is urging the Trump administration to remove impediments to federal funding aimed at expanding broadband infrastructure. In a letter addressed to the administration, Evers expressed concern that Wisconsinites in rural and unserved areas have waited long enough, highlighting the pressing need for improved internet connectivity in underserved communities. The urgency of Evers' demand comes in response to the Trump administration's recent decision to pause the implementation of the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment BEAD program, which is designed to allocate federal funds for high-speed internet expansion. This suspension has raised alarm among state officials and residents who rely heavily on reliable internet for work, education, and accessing essential services. In March, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick indicated that the administration was reviewing the program, creating uncertainty among stakeholders eager to see progress. The BEAD program is crucial for bridging the digital divide, particularly in rural areas where access to high-speed internet is limited or non-existent. Evers' letter underscores the critical nature of this issue, as the lack of internet access can hinder economic growth and educational opportunities. Meanwhile, the business community is feeling the ripple effects of the administration's tariff policies, which have recently drawn public scrutiny from prominent figures in finance. Hedge fund manager Bill Ackman publicly expressed his concerns over the implications of the newly imposed tariffs, which have already seen the S&P 500 index teeter on the brink of a bear market. A 10% baseline tariff on most imports, along with steep duties on select Chinese goods, has triggered fears of rising costs and potential disruptions in global supply chains. Notably, companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia have seen their stock prices decline amid these concerns. Ackman, who initially criticized Commerce Secretary Lutnick for his role in the tariff decisions, later softened his stance, acknowledging the challenges associated with the position. "It is not an easy job," he remarked, recognizing the complexities involved in balancing national interests and market stability. His call for a temporary pause on tariff implementation highlights the growing anxiety among investors regarding the broader economic implications of these policies. This atmosphere of uncertainty has prompted other influential voices in the tech and finance sectors, including Elon Musk, to advocate for free trade principles, warning that the ongoing tariff escalations could jeopardize U.S. manufacturing and innovation. As the situation develops, stakeholders from various sectors are keeping a close eye on the administration's next moves, particularly regarding the future of broadband expansion and trade policies. As these events unfold, the implications for both rural internet access and the broader economic landscape remain to be seen. with pressure mounting on the Trump administration to act. The coming weeks may prove pivotal in determining how swiftly the federal government can address the urgent need for high-speed internet in underserved areas and how it will navigate the turbulent waters of international trade relations. The outcomes will likely shape not only the technological infrastructure of the nation but also its economic resilience in an increasingly interconnected world.